Happy Thursday, guys. Welcome into PuckTime on WagerTalk TV. I am Andrew McInnis. I've got Carmine with me. As always, Mr. Carmine Bianco. Don Buster will join us, of course. And, of course, we're going to have Brian Leonard as well, as it's a jam-packed show. And you know how it is with the new format. Busy slate in the NHL means a busy day on PuckTime. I can't speak for all of you, but I am in bounce-back mode today. Utah didn't get it done in that first period play. Slight profit or a break even, I'd say, with the props. Did like a little bit of the side of Chicago. Didn't have it in me to get there, and man, oh man, did they play well. But Carm, nothing wrong with bounce back mode when you have a huge slate like we do today here on Thursday. And I got to give you credit because you did call the Buffalo Sabres getting their first win of the season yesterday. I liked the over in that one, but I was just scared to give it out and to bet that because I was like, man, if they get their first win, they could lock things down defensively. I figured when they'd get their first win, though, it would absolutely explode, and it's exactly what we saw. Carm, are they going to save some goals for other games, though, or did they waste all their goals?
Andrew, I feel so bad, and welcome to everyone in the chat and all our new WagerTalk Insider members. Andrew, I feel bad for some of my friends because they watched the show and they went with the Sabres winning, but they turned it into a parlay and they took Tage Thompson to score. My man and fellow Bills Mafia, Garnett, he took Tage Thompson to score along with the Sabres. And you would think Buffalo scoring 8 goals, Tage is going to get on the board and score a goal. No, he didn't. Not one of the 8 goals was scored by Tage Thompson. Hard to believe. But guys, we have a great show today. We're gonna cover Colorado Columbus. 5 games for you guys. Colorado Columbus, Carolina Anaheim, Toronto, New York Rangers, Nashville, Montreal, Vegas, and Boston. We're gonna have our pod play and then try and answer a few questions as well too. The pod didn't get there, man. Utah, the Mammoth yesterday, 6 power plays, did not score a single power play goal, ended up with winning 3-1. It doesn't get there, but I have a pod play to make up for today, hopefully. Andrew, back to you, man. What are we talking about first here?
Let's dive in. Blue Jackets and Avalanche here, Carmine. And looking at this matchup, both teams well rested. Both teams have not been in action since Monday night here. And this Blue Jackets team, they're a team I think that people are going to sleep on this year. They've got some talent. And I think Kirill Marchenko and some of those goal scorers on that team might be some of the most slept-on players in this league. And Adam Fantilli, Cole Sillinger, Kent Johnston. They're not a bad team by any means. And, of course, they have some depth, with Charlie Coyle and Boone Jenner, the captain there. So curious to see how they're going to face off against this Avalanche team. Looking at the numbers in this one, though, we're seeing around minus 155, 160 as the average price for the visiting team here, Carm. And, when you look at the last couple meetings between these teams, we've seen goals, but we've also seen, some success from this Avalanche team or this Columbus Blue Jackets team as well. They're 2-1 the last 3 games against this Avalanche team, but in all 3 games, they have scored at least 3 goals. We've seen the Avalanche have a lot of success so far this season. And besides that hiccup they had against the Dallas Stars, and Dallas is a really, really talented team, and Mikko Rantanen just put the dagger in them. And it's always about those storylines. He put that shootout winner in the net. This team's had kind of a smooth sailing start, 4-1, 2-1, 3-1, and of course that 5-4 loss. But when you go from playing a Buffalo Sabres team that at the time was struggling to score goals, then you have that rest up. They haven't really been challenged. You go and play a Blue Jackets team. This team could be a live dog. And you know me, I hate fading the Avalanche. This is a team that I love that has so much talent. I think there's value tonight on the Blue Jackets, whether you're backing them first period, whether you want to take them over 2.5 goals, or whether you have it in you to take the full game money line. Similar to what we saw with the Blackhawks yesterday against the St. Louis Blues, I kind of feel the same way in this one. It does kind of worry me that both teams have the same rest. I'd kind of like here for Columbus to have the rest advantage. But, I do think that we're going to see Columbus get off to a good start here. And, Carm, a lot of times when I talk on the show, and I give out team totals, as you know, I'm just talking about team total overs. But if there's one way we could explore this as well, because we do have such big favorites for Colorado, we could also look at them under 3.5 goals themselves. But I'm targeting a competitive game. I think Columbus certainly battles in this one. And I think that based on the price, I think that we're seeing Columbus be a little bit disrespected here. So both teams rested, Carm. What do you think?
Yeah, Andrew, it's funny that you talk about getting off to like good starts and stuff. Last season, and I'm just trying to bring it up right now, Colorado last season, in the opening 20 minutes of the game, had one of the top 3 worst numbers. And it's just surprising because you look at the teams that finished first and second as far as the worst units in the first period. Carolina Hurricanes, 26 of their 81 or 82 games, they held the lead after 20 minutes. 31 times they trailed, 25 times they were tied. Colorado, okay, Edmonton is second, but we won't go over the numbers. Colorado, of 81 games, they only had the lead after 20 minutes in 25 games. 31 times they trailed, 26 times they were tied. If you bet against Colorado on the money line, you were up units. They were down 20 units, Andrew, 20 units on the season for Colorado as far as first period plays. But I want to go one step further, but in a different direction as far as this one goes, Andrew, and that's looking at the first period over. It's just because Columbus last season at home were a very good team, top 3 with the overs in the first period, 28-13 last season, one of the most profitable teams when taking first period overs. And the first period over in this game, with a total of 6.5, you would expect the first period over to be 1.5 and about 160 vig. It is not. It is 135 is the consensus number right now. There's some 140s, but there's also some 130s. The consensus number is 135 right now. That's where I want to go on this one. I took the Columbus over in their last game at home. It did not go over the total. They were one of the most profitable teams overall last year as far as home overs. They were very entertaining. I'm not ready to give up on a team after one loss, especially with that trend last season. So give me the first period over, Andrew, minus 135 between these two. Let's hope for a quick start, and then I can switch it over to another game.
The first periods are the best. The first periods are the best. Let's get a quick start from both teams. And, we're going to find out, I think, really early, Carm, if the rest advantage is going to help them defensively or if it's going to help them offensively. I think we're going to be able to tell right away based on the pace of play between those two teams. But a lot of talent out there. Could be a good player props game as well. I'm hoping that Columbus can battle, though. I'm hoping that Columbus can fight their way in this game. And, there's some days you wake up and you like the dogs, and some days you wake up and you like the favorites. And maybe it's because I have a chip on my shoulder because I never got to the window with that Chicago game last night. So I'm searching for a dog today. But I do think we're going to see some real competitive games here today, Carmen. If you look at the overnight numbers, some people don't take into account sharp action as much with hockey. You can look at overnight moves a little bit. There are a lot of dogs that took money overnight tonight here, Carmen, or going into today.
Yeah, there is. Listen, hockey is like any other sport, Andrew. Sharps will get in if they get the right number. They're not betting teams, they're betting numbers. And they're going to grab the best price, which is why it honestly, I'm going to harp on this all season long, but having something like Odds Logic, where you can look at 2 or 3 of the sharp books, and Brian Leonard, who's going to be on the show a little later on, talked about it. I talked about one of the books on there, which is War. You have the other one, 411. You have Pinnacle. You have Circa. I think as far as those 4 books, and Brian touched on the Pinnacle one. Maybe it's not a book that takes a lot of sharp action, but there are books out there, whether they're offshores, that do take plenty of sharp action. And if you're getting offered the best price at one of these books, you have to think twice about it. So that's where that whole fishy line thing comes in. And I saw a lot of people in the chat yesterday talking about how that Ottawa Buffalo game looked like a fishy line yesterday with the Bills. Sorry, Bills. God, the damn Bills. Okay,
it was
let's
fishy.
Forget about the Bills. with the Sabres. It was a fishy number, and wow, eight goals by the Sabres in that one. But Andrew, we got plenty to go here, and we got to bring in. I was ready to ship him back to Mexico if the Blue Jays lost last night because I thought maybe him being in Canada was bad luck. But here he is, none other than. And are you wearing the Indiana shirt? Have you even left the couch since?
No, actually, this is a beautiful Saratoga shirt.
Okay.
Saratoga, New York, one of my favorite spots that I frequent every year. And yes, they actually gave these away this year, believe it or not.
Yeah, Andrew and I appreciate you going there and not sending one to Dan, myself, and Andrew, but thank you. Anyways, Buster, I hope all is well for you. You got a great promo going on right now before you get into your game. 2 weeks of NHL for $99. That's an absolutely fantastic deal. I hope I got that correct. But you're going to look at the Carolina Hurricanes and the Anaheim Ducks, two teams that the game should be. This game should be sponsored by Pepsi AC because both these teams give me heartburn all year long. Where are you going with this one?
Yeah, Carmine. Carolina is here, and they're on the second game of a 6-game road trip to start this season. This club seems to be on a bit of a mission right from the start, winning all 3 games, and they're looking dangerous and really offensive for a Carolina club. And that might be just what they need to do to maybe get to that cup this year. They're going to even be better once their power play gets better because their power play has been terrible so far. So that's going to help them at all. This is a game that I think Carolina will really want because the opponents in the next 4 games, geez, they're tough. They go to LA, then to Vegas, then to Colorado, and then they finish off with Dallas. I'm not too sure who the Carolina front office pissed off over there with the schedulers or something, but I'm telling you, that's a brutal schedule on the road to start the season. Now, I know you got to go through those things, but it's a 6-game, really tough. Sometimes they break that up for these teams. As for Anaheim, they seem like they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. Like Carmine, you might have mentioned about giving you a little heartburn there. I tell you, they are really fun to watch so far, and they play offensive hockey. They're all offensive. And I really think they have a chance if they'll tighten that up a little bit moving forward. I think they have a good chance for a playoff spot this year, or at least to fight for a playoff spot this season. One big problem I've noticed early, and I'm sure you guys have as well, they're very, very sloppy. They give the puck up a lot. I know you guys had one of your bankroll games or something, what Carmine's doing the other night, that Anaheim did win. But everybody that watched that game, I tell you, they gave up the puck a lot. That game could have been 7-6 just as well as 4-3. But there's no doubt, I think Anaheim is a live dog here. But because of the situation with Carolina, I think they really need to win this one. Here's the problem. I can't lay 185 or 190 with Carolina on the money line. And I think they're 130 in regulation. And like I say, it's going to be a close game. I really believe it's going to be a close game. And I really don't want my money on a side here. So what we will play, we actually already gave out the over to our clients. The over was 6 over 20 early this morning last night. And that number has gone up, but now it's at 6.5 minus 22. And you can find DK and FanDuel, where a lot of our clients do play. They're 6.5 under 22. We would make a smaller play at 6.5, but the beauty of watching this show at 11 o'clock Eastern time is that you can wait. And I suggest you do that to get that 6 over 20 and make the play at 6. Now, both clubs have been really scoring machines if you look at it. Carolina's averaged 5 goals a game, and the Ducks, they've scored 11 goals in their last couple of games. And like I said, just watching that team play, it was up and down the ice the other night with Pittsburgh, that's for sure. Now, when these teams get together, not bad at all. The over has been 5 of the last 7. Now let's go to Anaheim. The over is 4 of the last 5 in Anaheim between these clubs. Now, like I say, I think Carolina's took a new philosophy this season, and they're just going to play out more offensive. They're not going to, it doesn't seem like they're caring as much as the defense. And Anderson hasn't helped much lately either, because he's been in net. I think he's allowed 6 goals in the 2 games he's played, and not many shots, maybe 40, 45 shots. So he's struggled to start. And like I said, I had mentioned earlier, the power play on Carolina has really struggled. But who better to play than the Anaheim Ducks? Because Anaheim has one of the worst penalty kills around. So they might be just what the doctor ordered for Carolina to get some power play goals. And Anaheim, talking about special teams, their power play has been unbelievable. Just watch them play. It's been really good. They're the second best team in the NHL in this early part of the season. So I suggest to everyone, watch the game, do not play the side, and bet the over.
Buster, and I know Andrew's got a follow-up for you, but I'm just going to make something quick here. I look at the game, and I see the price on Carolina 184. I've watched, I think, 3 of the Duck games, which doesn't happen. I don't think I watched 3 of the Duck games all last season, Andrew. But, the funny thing here is that, I know they're going to get better, the Ducks. I was surprised when one guy on TV there picked them to make the playoffs this season. I don't think they're that good as of yet. I think that they're a team that's eventually going to get there under Joel Quenneville and get better. But this early on, you cannot keep giving teams 2-goal leads and expect to come back. Giving up a 2-goal lead to the Sharks and coming back is one thing. Giving it up to the Penguins and coming back, you give up a 2-goal lead to the Carolina Hurricanes tonight, and you're done and dusted. So I can't bring myself to bet the dog in this game. It'd have to be Carolina regulation or even Carolina on the money line and tie it into something else if you really have to. Andrew, thoughts? A follow-up?
Well, I was going to ask, this is a collective question for both you guys, really. How in the NFL, Ralph Michaels was coming out with those charts after week 2, 0-2 teams ATS versus teams that are off to a good start, or how they are off a lot. How are we handicapping 3-0 teams so far, or undefeated teams so far? Or does it matter? Is it all circumstantial? Is that overthinking it? What do you guys think, Buster? Is it overthinking it to look at? Because you talked about they're going to want to win this one because of the games they have coming up. And I know people got to take Anaheim more serious now, but they're 3-0, and as we just saw with the Buffalo Sabres, they can score 7 goals sometimes. So is Carolina going to be able to stay dialed in for 4 straight games?
Well, like I say, I don't know. I don't think they are, but I know the competition is going to get awfully tough on them. So that's why I'm saying I think you can look. I don't think you overthink this, because I think you can look ahead, and they probably are. They knew when they got left Carolina, when they left Raleigh, they knew that we got 6 games. Okay, we get the 2 easy ones first. We need to win those 2 easy ones, because the other 4, not that they can't win them, but you're on the road and the road gets long and it's early in the season. So I always, me, Andrew, I'm a situational guy as well. So when I see a situation like that, I'm probably with Carmine. I would bet Carolina tonight, but you know what? The Anaheim team, they've been playing well. I love scrappy teams, just like our Montreal Canadiens, Andrew. I love a scrappy team because that shows heart, and I'm always about heart on the NHL. Guys getting in those corners, taking those shots, stuff like that. So that's why I just stay away from the side here. But I think you're going to see, because the way Carolina's been playing this year, they're not playing that as defense as they normally do. And Anaheim is just they go up and down the ice. They've got lots of guys with speed. So to answer your question, I would say, Andrew, you have to look at the situation at all times.
Yeah, and one final thought, Andrew, on this, and I know, Buster, you mentioned they're not playing the greatest defense right now. If you go back and look at Carolina's games at the beginning of last season, there were a lot of high-scoring games. I think last year, as a collective, you looked at the Minnesota Wild, the team that played very good defense. And there were some 7-6, 6-0, 7-0 games early on in their season. So teams will eventually buckle down. That has a lot to do with preseason. Preseason, we're not seeing all the players, all the lines together. They're moving guys in and out. So it isn't a proper preseason. It's kind of like the NFL. Sometimes it'll take a team a couple of weeks to get going. And the NFL, it matters more because it's only a 17-game schedule as opposed to an 82-game schedule here. So teams can drop points. But Buster, what do you have up at WagerTalk before we let you go?
Yeah, the Major League Baseball playoffs are still going, and I do have a 4% best bet. I had one last night. Got a nice easy win. So have another one up. It's only $9, and we're hitting 73% with those 16-6 over the last 22. So I know this is a hockey show, but I've got the best bet up there. People that bought my package, the $99 package, they'll be getting my hockey for the next few little days for sure, unless I have some hockey packages with college football, with NFL, stuff like that. So as you said, I appreciate Carmine ahead of time there. $99 for 2 weeks of all our plays, and that includes any 5% that we'll be putting out. And I do have one marked for next week, but it all depends on the number. As you guys know, I do mark my 5%. I have some already marked for January, as long as I get the number. So.
All right. Wow. Now it's Don. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Don Buster, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We got a lot still to cover. If the Blue Jays come back and win that series, the only way I'm bringing Buster back on PuckTime is if he shaves his beard, leaves his mustache, uses Just for Men, dyes it black, and looks like Davis Schneider of the Blue Jays.
Davis Schneider.
Speaking of Toronto teams, Andrew, the Leafs minus 152, the New York Rangers plus 125. Total sits here at 6. I'm going to throw a quick hot take out. The Leafs did what they needed to do in that game against Nashville after losing a couple games to Detroit, even though they outshot them badly in the game in Toronto. They got a Nashville team that came in, started their backup goalie in Annunen, but they're going to face Shesterkin tonight. These two teams played some tough games last year and some close ones over the last couple of years. I think, even though they can't score at home, that the Rangers are a live dog here at plus 125, and that's what I'm taking.
Carm, it almost bothers me that this is one that I didn't end up playing overnight because, we're seeing the movement. I mean, if you look at odds logic right now at the opener versus the current number, it's currently definitely been hit. And if you want to look at it, as you mentioned, Carm, the struggle for this Rangers team specifically has come at home with some of those shutouts for them being at home and on home ice. So I was talking about this on my show last night. Like, it's one of those frustrating things because, I had the first period over in both of those times where they were off a shutout. First time it was off the shutout against Pittsburgh. The second time it was off being shut out against Washington. And then they got shut out again. And I never ran these numbers by Ralph Michaels, but you have to think that the sense of urgency, not only being off one shutout, but being off a shutout twice, 2 games in a row, is crazy, Carm, for a team to be able to do that and to, not be able to produce and be productive that way. And now here's the thing. Is that when you look at the expected goals for, albeit they've played 5 games and many teams have played 3 or 4, so it might not mean too much, but they're still up there at the top of the league in expected goals. And I know there's going to be a crowd of people that will say this, and I know you wanted to talk about this today, Carm, where people will say it doesn't matter. You have to get the goals. And I agree with you. The final result is what matters. I was telling Leaf fans, when they lost to Toronto and they outshot them 45-15. Who cares how many shots you got? You still lost. At the end of the day, though, this Rangers team is not playing as poorly as their numbers indicate. This Toronto team, however, they're still not going to be happy about how they've played this year, I don't think. They're not going to be satisfied with how they've played. They dropped those 2 games against the Red Wings, and then they absolutely slapped around the Nashville Predators, a game, as you said, Carm, they should have won. But I like New York as well. I think they're going to get the job done. I think the first period is the play. And Carm, I'm putting myself out there on PuckTime. I'm labeling it right now. You guys are going to hear this with me right now. If the first period or full game over does not hit in this game, specifically the first period, you will not catch me take a first period play involving the Rangers until 2026. I'm putting myself out there right now with that. You guys in the comments all heard it, because I already know what's going to happen. If I don't play the first period over in this game, it's going to hit in the first 6 minutes of the hockey game. So I feel like I'm already looped into it because I've taken it already twice with this Rangers team this season. But we're going to go with that. But I do lean towards the Rangers as well. You know, this Leafs team, Carmen, they do have depth, but I do worry about their scoring because I put that tweet up yesterday that we were kind of laughing at about how Marner or Nylander and Matthews have 4 empty net goals and only 1 real goal. But you know that they're like a volcano. They could erupt at any moment. We just have to hope that New York contains them. So lean to New York for me, and we got to go right back to the first period over.
Well, no more plays. My head just went.
No more Rangers plays.
No more Rangers plays. You can't be. You can't be. What's the word I'm looking for? You can't just look at one game and give up after one game. If you did, it'd be the wrong way to handicap. And you just keep on going. You're up multiple units on the season. I'm coming for you, man. Winning night last night with the Red Wings plus money in a good spot against the Florida Panthers. So we got there. I've got a underdog on today's card, which is up at WagerTalk as well too. Andrew, okay, so we've talked about this Leafs Rangers one. We're going to go to Brian in just a second. Once he is Brian around yet? He should be logging in soon, I hope. But the last 4 games between these two teams in Toronto, the Rangers have won 2 of the 4 games by 5-2 and 4-1 score lines. And the other 2 games went to OT, Andrew. So that tells me that the Rangers, at the very least, give them a hard time in those games. Now, we're waiting on Brian Leonard when he pops in. And there he is. I see him popping in.
Boom.
He was probably he was combing his hair. He was combing his hair. Brian Leonard when he pops in. And
sorry about that, guys.
He was watching the show. I was
watching the show, and I thought I was in, and I realized it was on the baseball show. So I was wondering why nobody let me in.
Yeah, did you click on the like button while you were? Did you click on the like button while you were there? We really appreciate it.
Of course, I was going to comment about the good-looking host, but I figured I'd wait until I get on first.
Well, there you go.
You got to bring it on. You're adding to it, Brian.
Okay, so Brian, we're going to cover a couple things with you, but I want you to go first to your game. Montreal Canadiens minus 161, Nashville Predators plus 132. That was a consensus line this morning. It may have shifted a little bit. Total sits here at 6. How are you breaking this one down?
Yeah, I know you're running a little bit late. I wanted to touch on a couple other things, but because we're running late, I'll just go to the games. We're looking at today's game, and I'm looking at the Montreal side, and we're looking about a 150 favorite or so, total of 6. I'm not a Nashville fan. I actually made my power ratings about 3.5 points lower than what the closing season win total was. So basically, I didn't think as highly of Nashville, and I thought Montreal was just as good as what those early numbers were showing. And we've got a Nashville team. I know they were really disappointing last year, but they have pretty good talent. But when you take a look at their schedule, this is their 3rd game in 4 days, all on the road. They're coming off that game against Toronto. They beat Ottawa the night before. But, it doesn't mean as much early in the season as it does later when you are playing 3 and 4s, back-to-back, that kind of thing. But even if you just count as Montreal here, a 150 favorite is basically a 60% chance to win. So your home teams in hockey usually win about 53, 54% of the games anyway. So then you add in the Montreal that I have 7 points better in my power ratings. And you also have Montreal in a much better situation from a scheduling standpoint. They had yesterday off. They've only played 1 out of the 3 days before that. And the game they played was against Seattle, a game that they needed to come back and win. So you've got a team that is not satisfied because it shouldn't have gone down to overtime when they played Seattle. And you're getting them in a better scheduling situation here. 150 is cheap. I would have thought this was going to be probably about a 165. So I prefer the Montreal side here.
Brian, you're right. That game shouldn't have gone to overtime. Have you seen the AI videos where they're soccer videos where the guy, one of the players, taps his card with the referee's payment processing, and then they're awarded a penalty? I think that happened with the Montreal game and that holding call to Marchment late in the game to give the Montreal the power play. So Marty St. Louis must have that Amex black card with him, but it should be a good game nonetheless. I know I'm bugging Andrew with this narrative on the game. We get tons of comments in our live chat. We also get them in the videos that are posted afterwards. I want to post a comment from yesterday's video that I saw last night. If you guys can, our great production crew can put that up on the screen. Dan's looking. It's coming. All right. No, not the Brian one, the first one. That's Brian's reply. I'm sorry. It is the first one. Someone asked about, this is my fault. What's the point of the XG stat? Being nine total sum of Rangers home games, they didn't even score during those 3 games. And Brian replied, and we try and reply to many of your comments in there. So this isn't me trying to disparage anyone or what have you, but Brian's answer was absolutely perfect. That's the point. A team that has 10 XG and have scored 0, the offense is playing better than what they're actually producing on the ice. And the idea of the XG is you don't hang your hat on just that one stat, but it's a good indicator. And this is where I want Brian to come in, because Brian's a very good guy with analytics. It's a good indicator of a team that's putting forth a good effort, is just not getting the puck luck. It's not going in, but at some point those bounces will go your way, Brian.
I will say that, well, I'm assuming it's a gentleman that made the comment. He came back in and said that he understood what I was saying. So he was looking for something a little bit different, I think. But yeah, you were just talking about the Rangers. I had the Rangers as probably a play today, and we talked about that on the show. I was on the show yesterday, and we talked about having good value in there. Well, we're not the only people out there that bet hockey, and a lot of money has come in on the Rangers now. So it's to the point now, I think all that value is gone. But I will say there was another comment, and it was a correct comment. When I did my play yesterday on Detroit, I thought Gibson was going to be in goal. That was what they had listed at that point. And I said, I like Detroit, but I also like the +1.5. And then when they made the change to what I consider the better goalie, I came back and I used that, and the line really didn't move. And I came back and used that as a play for my clients. So yes, we can only give you the information we have at this point when we are handicapping the games. It is very early in the morning, and they do change the lines, and sometimes they make a goalie switch. They decided to use Gibson on Friday, I believe. And so that's something that, keep that in mind when we do that. Also, when we're talking about these games, we can change our mind a little bit based on the way the line moves. I'm a power ratings guy, and if I find value, there could be a game. I'm not going to do this for clients, but there could be a game at one point where I'll bet one side, and then I'll end up getting much better number the other side, and probably buy my way out of the bet. So we're doing it on the show. Everybody wants all of our bets, but it all depends on what the line is. And if you don't get the line you want, as I believe Buster said, we just wait. And we've got plenty of time to do that with all of these nighttime games. So there are games that are going to pop on our card, pop off of our card, depending on what the line is. But we're really excited about talking about them now, and hopefully we can get these bets in as we speak about them right now.
This one's got an interesting comment here. Sorry, Garm,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Andrew, and that's the importance of having either a long-term subscription, a 3 or 7 day subscription, or even the flex pack. Is at the minute someone like Brian Leonard loads a play, it's in your email, it's in your alert, you get it, and you know it. So you're getting the best number with it. But Andrew, there was a good comment from Fortunat, who says, unless you're willing to go back and chart the game yourself, you are left with XG as a means for getting a snapshot of goaltending and puck luck, which is absolutely true.
You know, guys, I'll just say, like, I think hockey is one of those sports where, like, you can use analytics, you can use the eye test. There's so many different ways, and I think that what's that website, Brian? The NBA one, Shot Quality, is that what it's called?
Shot quality is a tremendous job in basketball. Yes.
Yeah, shot quality. So, I mean, to me, there's like, I mean, the difference I think with that is there's like, what's the average NBA score these days? Like 120 and 115. Like, so you're getting so many different, what can we say? The sample size is big because you're seeing each player shoot so much. You're seeing, okay, this team expected points. And it's cool to see that in the NBA. Like, hey, this collective group of 3 players, they shot well below their means with their 3-pointers, and they should have had probably at least, you know, X amount of more points, and that makes a difference in the game. Now with the NHL, it's interesting because you can, like, one of my favorite ones to look at, guys, is not even just the expected goals for, but as the goals saved above average for goaltenders. And you can look at it and in 2 ways. You can look at it in, okay, I want to be contrarian and fade this goalie because he's evidently overachieving, or I want to fade this team because he's carrying his team. Or you can look at it in this way and say, you know what? Maybe I stay away from this certain team because I think they have value, because this goalie right now is standing on his head. Like, you guys don't, like, I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, and everybody in the world knows it that knows me, but I'm not a fool to know that Carey Price carried the Montreal Canadiens, no pun intended, for like 15 years. I wished upon everything that Carey Price had the team the Montreal Canadiens are going to have in 2 years' time, because he absolutely, like, there were so many games, like when the Montreal Canadiens made that playoff COVID run that they had, everybody that was fading the Canadiens were probably, you know, going nuts because all the analytics said that they were getting dominated every game pretty much because Carey Price is that good of a goaltender. So I will tell people that goaltending statistics do really matter. And sometimes we will call it puck luck, but we can also call it, you know, great goaltending on the other side of things as well.
Brian, what do you have up at WagerTalk today?
Yeah, before I get to that, I just want to point out, I mentioned yesterday, I asked you guys about Tkachuk for Ottawa. His physicality, I thought, was going to help the Buffalo offense because they don't have to worry about that. Obviously, I didn't see the expected goals, but they had a really good game. So keep that in mind from now on. It may be the defense for Ottawa, maybe something we can take advantage of. I went 4-0 yesterday, including the Detroit underdog play.
Nice.
On a nice 16-4 run. Baseball's been terrific. I'm up like 19 net units already in the baseball playoffs. I am going to put out a 5% today in the Major League Baseball playoffs. I'm also going to put up my hockey, and we'll do some football for the weekend. So they did mention, I know it's a hockey show, but they did mention we all do football. So they did put out that Weekend Warrior package for football. It's a great deal. Look that up. But a lot of things out there for us right now. And baseball's been very good to me, as they say over the years. And it looks like we're going to have a 5% going today. I've been on 2 shows today, so I haven't had a chance to get it up. But we will do that in the next hour or so.
All right. Well, Brian, I wish you the best of luck with that 5% play. And as we age, it's always a little tougher to get it up. So don't worry about it. And you will be fine.
Get that package up, right?
They have blue
no
chews
reason
for
to
that.
get it up. I'm a married man. What the hell?
Blue chews. They got blue chews for that. Anyways, you should get excited just walking into the Circus Sportsbook. You know what I mean? With the gang over there. But
don't give people any ideas, Carm. Don't give people any ideas.
We wish you the best of luck on your plays, and fantastic 4-0 day for you. Absolutely, as well too. So knock it out of the ballpark. I hope it's drop it in my Slack after. I really hope it's the Blue Jays.
I'll send it to you. All right.
With that said, go Jays. All right, Brian. Thanks for coming on. Andrew,
Brian, send us the play unless you're fading the Jays. And in that case, don't send us the play.
All right, Andrew, we had a couple to close off. This one I'm going to make it easy because it'll be all you talking. Vegas Golden Knights, Boston Bruins. Vegas minus 227, Boston plus 183. And you know where I'm going here. First period over. Last year, Vegas Golden Knights, first 6 games out of the hopper at home, all over the total. 10-2, their first 12 games at home, over 1.5 hit. Their first game this year, LA Kings, it hit again. This is game 2. I'm going over once again. I'll throw it to you.
Carm, I don't know what it is about this team, but at home, like you said, it's just electrifying for them. This is their second home game. Their first one was their home opener against the Kings, which they dropped in a shootout, which they had the lead. On my show last night, I went through all their games so far, Carm, and I was trying to figure out a game that they've played so far this season that they should be happy about. And I didn't find one game. They've played 4 games this season so far. I don't think any of these games they should be proud of themselves. You know, they lose that first game in a shootout. They beat the San Jose Sharks, but if anybody knows how they beat the San Jose Sharks, the goalie went out of the net and lost the puck, and it was a tap-in. They didn't really deserve that win. And then they beat the Kraken they lose to the Kraken in overtime. Obviously, you're not proud of that one. And then, of course, the 4-2 win over the Flames, which I was excited about because I had the team total for them. But Carmine, they were down 2-1 going into the third period. So a lot of times we talk about motivation. And I think that it's funny that us as handicappers, part of our job is to try and figure out which teams are going to be fired up for certain games or not. And Brian talked about the Montreal Canadiens, how they blew that lead and then they had to win in overtime. And so that should keep them sharp, which I actually really agree with his analysis there. I think that like yesterday, I lost the Utah first period puck line. I think the penalties definitely hurt it. But one thing that hurt it more, I think, was the fact that, you know, you had a team in Calgary that was pissed off coming into that game. And I think in this particular matchup, you just have a really good spot, I think, for the Vegas Golden Knights to put on a show in front of their home crowd when they're super motivated. So this is about the exact same price as a lot of the other -0.5 goal first periods have been, Carm. 2-1, 2-0. You and I both win with that one. And I'm going to go a little bit off the board here with you. And I'm going to take an alternate number just to get a little fancy with you here. Plus 180, Vegas Golden Knights over 4.5 goals. Not 3.5, not 2.5. Plus 180 over 4.5 team total goals. Let's not forget Bruce Cassidy, head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, former head coach of the Boston Bruins. He got fired by that team. And I'll tell you, this team looks so good right now. And if you're betting player props, you got to be betting these player props on the Vegas Golden Knights because Barbashev, Thomas Hertl, Mitch Marner assist props. Jack Eichel feels like he has a goal in every single game he's played in here, Carm, so far. But I like this team quite a bit. And is it fair to say, Carm, that this Bruins team, it's almost a good thing they got off to a decent start? I mean, 3-1 win over the Caps, 4-3 win over the Blackhawks, 3-1 win over the Sabres. Don't get me wrong, the Capitals are a good team, but 3 of the 4 teams they played so far aren't really the most exciting teams. And then they give up 4 goals against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So despite the fact that they're rested, I still think the Bruins get slapped around here tonight on a Thursday night. Give me the Knights. First period and the full game team total. Carm, so when you're watching that game and you're cheering for your first period total, just do me a favor. Just cheer for 2-0 or 3-0 as far as the Knights are concerned.
I will. I may have to go out tonight because I don't have enough screens for all of the games that I need to watch tonight because there's NFL football tonight. Of course, there's baseball playoffs and, of course, a ton of puck action and a late game, which is our pod play of the day. So, guys, after the Mammoth came up a goal short yesterday, And that was again, that was a half-size wager. All prop bets, like team totals, will be half bets, and I'll mention it. But this one is going to be a regular-sized play, and it is the one of the final games of the night. It is the LA Kings, and as you'll see, we're still up our current bankroll 52.18. We're taking the Kings in regulation minus 130 against none other than the aforementioned Pittsburgh Penguins. Here's some numbers for you. Last season, the Kings, number one in the Western Conference on home ice, 31-10. Of those 31 home victories, 27 were in regulation time. And when an Eastern Conference team came to LA, they left losing 13 of the 16 games. LA was 13-3, all 13 wins in regulation against Eastern Conference teams last season. We're taking the Kings in their second game of the season at home. They lost their home opener 4-1 to Colorado to get the win here in regulation over the Pittsburgh Penguins. So that will be 200 to win, roughly about 144 with that minus 130 price tag.
Let's go, Carm. Keep that bankroll going, and I think that this is going to really show people how to just manage the bankroll day by day. And I've got a segment starting next week, and well, to be completely honest with you, it's kind of the opposite of the bankroll challenge. It's the same game parlay, the daily same game parlay. Sometimes we're going to get a little bit funny with them, and sometimes we're going to be just like a 2 or 3 player parlay. And I'll tell you what, guys, like this Vegas Golden Knights team, it is incredible how, like, I'm going to go to it right now live on the show, and I'm not saying this hits every single time, but these guys, it's unbelievable for their points. Like right now, if you take a look at Jack Eichel point, Mitch Marner point, and Ivan Barbashev to get a point, all of those together, you get plus 175. You know, like these guys together, I mean, it's not rare that these guys aren't going to score. They're on the power play. They're all out there together. So we're going to get some same game parlays going next Monday, new segment. So really looking forward to that. But make sure you guys are following Carmine's bankroll play of the day, and make sure you guys are managing your bankroll while doing so. And I just want to stress, guys, because I was talking with some WagerTalk personnel about this a couple days ago. Make sure you're following the percentages when we release our plays. All of my props are either going to be 0.25 units or 0.5 units. Best bets are 3%, 4%, 3 units, 4 units. You need to follow the structure. Variance lies with props. I feel confident with my 4% sides. And speaking of which, Carm, 2 4% plays for me. 1 4% team total, 1 4% side play. So really looking forward to that. And the rest of the plays we'll figure out as the afternoon develops. But I'm in bounce back mode, man. Looking forward to a really, really great day. And hats off to you and hats off to Brian for cashing those underdog tickets yesterday. Let's have a great day, man. Take us home.
All right. 3 plays up for me in the NHL, including 1 underdog play. And of course, the NFL 5% play goes on Sunday. Sunday 10 will get you $10 off that, or grab the Weekend Warrior college and NFL loaded today as the injury reports come out. So we're going to have we're doing fantastic this season. We're going to continue to do so. For myself, Andrew, thanks guys for tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and we will see you tomorrow morning on PuckTime, 11 a.m. live.